Welcome back to Astrological Intentions. This is episode 8. I am Alex, your host, as well as...
I'm Sandy Rueve.
My mother, as well as the astrologer, where Sandy will be taking us through what's coming up astrologically.
Let's talk about a quick rundown. Saturn is moving direct. Finally on Thursday.
Great news.
Yeah, good news, everybody. Things are starting to move forward. And then I want to talk about the grand trine that's coming up on the 7th. We'll talk about the sun in opposition to Neptune. This is its yearly cycle. We'll talk about talismans that I've made.
The beautiful handmade talismans that you make. We also are going to be discussing where we're going to be voyaging out into
you're going
the lands.
east, I'm going west.
Yes.
I go to Sedona with Colette Baron Reed.
And I go to Brooklyn with Wanderlust.
Yeah.
We'll see.
And actually we have someone here working the Chicago show.
Yes.
It's a busy weekend.
It is. We also have our house where we will be discussing
some stories from Bali. We travel around the world, and so our house is many places. It's mostly where we carry our oven.
So stay tuned for this episode of Astrological Intentions.
You got the keys. You got the keys. You got the keys. You got the keys.
Hi, Alex.
Hi, Mom. How are you? I feel like I haven't seen you in forever.
You've been gone this whole weekend.
I know.
In and out.
Happy Labor Day.
I know. I can't wait for us to get to catch up. Maybe we get to catch up here.
This is exactly where we get to catch up. It's a wonderful time.
I know.
So we're going to jump right in to...
Let's do it.
In the transits. So the big news that we have coming up this week is Saturn is moving direct. We're going to help break that down now.
Since April, Saturn moved into retrograde motion on our very first day of our retreat in Bali.
Yes.
And it was April 18th. We set the opening dinner for 4:58 p.m. And you know how we do things.
And everyone thinks we're crazy.
What? Is that around 5? I'm like, no, it's 4:58.
4:58, be there.
That's our dinner. And so that we were heralding in the Saturn the Saturn retrograde. And it has been retrograde this entire time, which seems like eons ago for everyone, I'm sure. But on Thursday, this is coming up September 6th, right? Is that... Yeah, September 6th at 7:10 a.m. in Chicago, Saturn is now starting to slowly move forward. So this whole time period, which seems like a long time, and it really has been, we've had other retrograde cycles going on, but this one just kind of says that, just as Saturn says, okay, let's move forward now with a plan, a solution, because Saturn is in its own sign of Capricorn, so it's where it wants to work. It's where it wants to
literally it wants to work. I think you're right.
Right, it wants to succeed. It wants this ambition, and so whatever was set back in April when it started to go retrograde, we went internal. We went into a review of how we're going to, get something specifically done, and now it's getting ready to move forward. It says, okay, what does that look like now? And sometimes it's not what you thought it was going to look like. Like that vision, that desire, I'm going to work on this plan. Let's get this moving. Let's go in and build the structures, the pillars, and let's stand sturdy so that when this starts moving forward, as it's coming up, that we've got our foundation built. So sometimes the foundation looks different. So I just kind of ask people, it's okay if the pillars that you've been stabilizing in the last 4 or 5 months might look different, right? And that's okay.
So pillars, you mean routines, boundaries, rules, regulations.
More of that.
Okay.
Maybe not so much the routine. That's more of Virgo. That's more of where the sun is right now. So this is why we are having more of the plan, the organization, the day-to-day operations. That's more Virgo. But Saturn in Capricorn just says, I'm ready for the long haul. What mountain am I climbing? I'm ready to go now. I've got my backpack built. I've got everything I need. Let's start moving forward.
And also in our last episode, we discussed Mars in Capricorn too, which is all that energy going. So we kind of have both of these things working for us in Capricorn. So what are you building? What are you working on? What mountain are you climbing?
What are you going to do with this? And for the people that have birthdays from December 24th through December 31st, this is that 9 Capricorn to 2 backwards to 2 Capricorn. This is the time period that Saturn has moved through. And it sounds like for these last 5 months, it should have been really longer than the 7 degree that it's retrograded over. Mm-hmm. But these are the dates from going backwards, December 31st to December 24th. These are the birthdays. Okay. Where the sun was for these people from 2 degrees to 9 degrees Capricorn, that would have had this bigger adjustment time, where in the last 5 months, maybe nothing felt like it was moving, nothing felt like it was building, the pillars weren't sturdy, nothing was strong enough to kind of start stepping on.
And solidify something.
And now it's starting to move forward. Yeah.
So we've just been pouring the concrete and waiting for it to dry.
It's like, take things seriously. Start taking some things seriously now. Let's start moving it forward. And like you said, Mars is exalted in Capricorn. It's only there for a few more days before it starts moving back into the sign of Aquarius, which is the next sign, which is where it retrograded from. But the Saturn being there too. But you know what? So is Pluto. So we have these, 3 big malefic planets all in Capricorn. So,
powerhouses.
Well, so get the job done. Be sure-footed. Be sure-footed now.
And we just wanted to clarify this before we discuss the next transit. But Mars being in Capricorn is exalted. However, Saturn being in Capricorn is
the ruler.
Okay.
It's in its own domicile. As we mentioned before, that each sign is ruled by a planet. Some signs have, there's several signs that have this.
Multiple rulers. Okay.
Well, there's ancient rulers. Let's kind of get this clear. Like there's traditional rulers, which are the ancient ones, and then there's modern rulers. Mm-hmm. But there's some planets, let's just say for instance, Venus rules 2 signs.
Taurus and Libra.
Yes. And Mercury rules 2 signs. Mm-hmm. And that's Virgo and Gemini. Mm-hmm. So when we say that a planet is ruling a sign, it's where he's happiest in. It's his home. Mm-hmm. And yes, so Saturn is in its home. It's very comfortable there. So it's doing nice pilling, what should I say?
Building blocks?
I want to say pillaging, but that's not right.
Not right, no.
Like making pillars, driving them deep.
Okay.
Right. So, but also coming up this weekend on the 7th, which is really a nice entry into the 7th, which is on Friday. We have this transit. We got a grand trine going on, forming.
Another one.
Very
nice.
And actually, I can't use this during the transits as a talisman time because I'll be traveling on this day. But so I'll miss this. But anyone that wants to pull in this energy, this Mercury, which is now out of its shadow, because Mercury's moving pretty fast now after it's gone into its station period, is trine Uranus which just went into retrograde. So, and is trine Saturn, which just stationed direct the day before, because we're on the 7th already of September. So this is a really nice time to, to start moving forward and to be a little bit like finding solutions to problems that you may not have understood before or have had that aha moment. However, hours later, we have the sun moves into an opposition to Neptune. So,
explain that a little bit.
Yeah, the sun moves, around, or we move around the sun moves around us, around, so that this opposition occurs once a year to all the planets, where the sun is 180 degrees, which is an opposition away. And so this is the day, the September 7th, where the sun opposes Neptune. So could be a day of confusion, where maybe the solutions that are coming up earlier in the morning, you're like, oh, I can figure this out. And sun comes in and goes, oh, I don't really know about that. I'm really not sure of that, because there's that fog, that confusion that Neptune could bring in. However, I just ask for you to wait a few days. Sun should be out of that opposition, let's just say in a week's time. So whatever ideas come in on the 7th, write them down, put them into some sort of tangible, like planning.
Like a to-do task?
Yeah, like
a task list? Or...
And then just sit on it, because, the sun with opposing Neptune may really be like, I don't know if I should really do it. I don't know. So we'll take these new ideas that we know that we can build upon, but kind of start getting the ball rolling a little bit. When we list them out, what are these ideas? And then sit on them for a week.
Them.
Yeah, sit on them for a week, because it could still be that brilliant, great solution.
And
we want to wait for the fog to clear. Okay. And I think we need about 7 days.
When does that?
Well, if the sun moves 1 degree a day. And so if we can get 7 degrees away from Neptune, sun.
So next week, when we talk to you guys next week, get those ideas in movement, in progress, and in action.
Right. So that's the big thing that's going on this week, is this Saturn and then this grand trine, all in Earth. So, because also Mercury, as I mentioned, is out of its shadow. It's in new territory now, and Mercury's in its own sign, because it's in Virgo. So Mercury likes to be in Virgo. It's the ruler of, Virgo and Gemini. So that's good. So that's really what's on, in the transits for this coming week.
So now it's time for Talisman Times.
Talisman Time. So let me go back and go over the few things that I did. And actually, I was kind of busy. And actually, I did give you some things over last week, but these are some ones that I found that I did yesterday.
Yeah, our Instagram has been blowing up with all these new talismans.
And this one was Monday. This was yesterday at 9:39 p.m.
That's Monday.
Right. This is, yeah. Yep. This was Labor Day, actually. The sun was in Virgo. The moon was in Gemini. And the ascendant was Taurus. So this, which I was going after, I waited for this exact moment, because Venus was sextile Mercury. And they were each in the sign that they like to be in, so that they were happy here. So the intention for this is to find the right words. Right? Isn't that great? The affirmation is, I verbalize my feelings as they are here, present in my life right now. I appreciate how I feel, and I express accordingly.
Awesome. And that's a lot of that Mercury going on.
It's Mercury and Venus. Yeah. With them each in their own signs in a nice sextile, which is a 60 degree, which
where
says
they want to work
the-
together. They want to take opportunities.
To work together. So it's, the sun and the moon rulers is the Mercury. So kind of a really cool, alignment that we had.
Absolutely.
And then, right after that, and I did this next one at 10:56 p.m., also Monday last night, September 3rd, Labor Day. Now we have the ascendant is Gemini. And so now the Mercury rules the sun, Mercury rules the moon, and Mercury rules the ascendant. And Mercury's happy in its own sign of Virgo, and it's now out of the shadow. So it's just clipping new territory. And again, it's in a sextile to Venus, and also in a sextile to the moon. Because now, right, I said the moon is in Gemini. So this is just a really happy placement. This
and
one
even
is
playful. Gemini can be very playful.
What I wrote here is to charm groups of people. That's the intention for this bracelet I made.
Geminis are very charming.
Well, especially sextile to Venus, right? And the moon. And the moon. So the affirmation is that on this is, I enjoy everyone around me, and in turn, they enjoy me. I speak honestly to them, and they hear my exact words and their meaning. So this was what's going on the website tomorrow. Those pieces are already out of the oven. I baked them last night when I finished. And
they look beautiful, as ever.
Haven't had time to string those together.
So what's coming up in the Talisman Times?
Okay, so I will
Everyone get your calendars out.
Yeah, so this will be Sedona. This will be Pacific time. This is Saturday, September 8th. I've got this marked at 6:47 a.m. The moon is conjunct Regulus. Now, Regulus is a fixed star, but it's one of the Persian royal stars. So there's 4 Persian royal stars, and this is the big one. Regulus sits in the heart of the lion, but as fixed stars rarely move at all, this now is in to the early 0 degree part of Virgo. So when the moon clips this exactly at 6:47 a.m. on Saturday, September 8th, this is a big deal. Regulus is royalty, right? It's the heart of the lion. It's
king of the jungle,
nobility. And this intention bracelet I'll make is to be a natural leader, loved by others. The affirmation, I lead with love and devotion. That's my only way.
That's beautiful.
So, if anyone can pull this in for themselves, doing a ceremony, let's
get all of our leaders to do it. Let's get all of them
to be a natural leader, loved by others. This is when the moon is conjunct this, and this is just a beautiful placement because the sun is in Virgo and the ascendant here is Virgo, but the moon is at the very last degree of Leo. So
it's that mature Leo that knows how to lead, knows how to be the one charging forward.
Right. And the moon is applying to the ruler of the rising sign, which is Mercury. So that's one I've got planned. Then we have the new moon coming up this weekend.
Yay!
I will also be in Sedona, and I'll grab this energy for a new moon mala. On Sunday, September 9th, this happens at 11:02 a.m. This is Sedona, Arizona time. And this is, because the new moon is in Virgo, it is also sextile Jupiter, which even brings more into expanded growth. But remember, it's also opposing this Neptune. So, we always laugh when you want to say bath time, right? Take a bath.
I love my baths. I love them. I think everyone should take them.
So this might be a time when, just be around water, get into a bath.
Yes.
But it's about being practical, to begin practical tasks of clearing out what is no longer needed. This can be through items, behaviors, issues, old stories. It's being practical and literally, do you need them or do you not need them? Put them in one of those categories. Not like that category of, I'm going to do it one day. I'm going to, I need this.
It's like playing that game, the Mayflower, when you have only, one thing to bring and you have to list them all off. And do you remember that game?
Did I ever play it?
I was going on the Mayflower and I was going to bring X. And then the next person says that and they just keep adding on to it. But, think about that. You only have a certain amount of things to bring or to keep in your life. What are those top priorities? What are those main things that we want?
Right. And make sure that they inspire you. That might be one way to bring in that opposing Neptune is, there has to be a creative edge to this, a healing edge, an inspirational edge. So, pull that in also on this day. So, new moon ceremonies are a big deal for a lot of people. And so, I try to make my new moon malas wherever I am, and I'm going to be in Sedona. So I'll carry my oven and all my clay, like we do, right?
Always.
Yeah.
With the whole kit and caboodle. So next up is on the horizon. So we discussed all of our travels, where we're going. You and I are going to be splitting up again this weekend. You are heading to sunny Sedona.
Sedona with Colette Barron-Reed and her Dreamweavers group. I'll be facilitating the talisman making on Saturday, which is this beautiful year-long class, I guess, grouping that Colette has put together to, hone in skills. And this is the final kind of graduation, maybe. And I'll be facilitating using this energy to pull in, and everyone will be making their talisman, their bead of what they've learned this entire year with her. So I'm really excited about doing that.
Absolutely.
So I'll be making beads in group and making beads up in my room.
I will be heading to maybe sunny Brooklyn.
Let's hope.
I'm hoping for that. For the Wanderlust 108, where it's a one-day event, really quick, but it's wonderful. You get up early, you go on a 5K run.
Or walk.
You do some run or walk. That's correct. And if you're into yoga, you do the yoga session and you do meditation, as well as come and talk to me and all the other vendors that are selling really cool items, that everything from harem pants to books to astrology talismans.
Well, and I really like that because too they have a lot of food, like handout food, like free samples and things that I would normally never have purchased
or tried
if someone didn't hand me a little cup of something. And
you now have one of your favorite bars.
I found my favorite bar there.
Which your favorite bar before was the RX bar.
It was.
Which is Chicago born and we still love. But you found the Garden of Life one that has maple in it.
It's my favorite now. Yeah. Yeah.
You gifted it to everybody.
I'm reluctantly doing it now. So when our postman comes,
you're low in your supply.
Well, when the postman comes and picks up our mail, he's usually probably salivating because I'm always giving him some sort of food. And I've been giving him these bars and he's fallen in love with them, but now I have to kind of pull them back and I don't have very many left.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
That's okay. Then also coming up, we have...
But let's talk about the Theoso Fest.
Yeah. We also have an in-town event going on called Theoso Fest. It's at the Theosophical Society. And And this is it's tons of vendors.
All outside.
Outside.
It's like from 9 a.m. till 5 p.m. It's a really short day, but a lot of readers. I did readings last year. I'm not going to be there this year, but we have one of our cosmic intelligence
satellites, Candy. She'll be there. And she is wonderful. We love her, and she'll answer as many questions as she can about astrology.
She's very knowledgeable about astrology.
And then coming up, you have a trip to Maine, but then I also have a Vibe Up event in Chicago the next weekend.
We'll save that for next week.
And also, I want to give people a sneak peek on the Q4 Cosmic Trends.
Oh, okay.
This is something that we do once a quarter, and it's on Facebook. It's free. Sandy does a Facebook Live with her friend Susan Goodell, who they are so much fun to just watch them play off of each other, because Susan is kind of more of the staunch Capricorn, and Sandy's this creative Pisces who loves, flowy hair and fun outfits and talking about love and passion. And you have Susan Goodell, who is, she studies the stock market.
Right.
I mean, that's a great Capricorn right there for you. And she has she's always
serious.
So organized and so diligent. And so basically what they do is they take you through the entire quarter on Facebook. It's only an hour long, and you bring your calendar and you write all of the things that you want to remember. They'll talk about, this is a wonderful night for a date night, but don't do just a regular date. Go crazy and do something very different. And so they take you through all of that. We also have a opportunity for people to be in person. Right. And these are for our Chicago people, or if anyone's visiting us in Chicago. We have in person where you and Susan go through everyone's personal charts for the entire quarter.
For the quarter.
And that is really cool.
And we teach, and this quarter we'll teach about the Venus retrograde. That's the big theme for Q4. Yeah, we'll talk about that as we get a little closer.
And so definitely inquire if you are interested in doing the in-person Cosmic Trends, because we do have some spots available. And I will tell you that these spots are not normally available, because everyone that comes to these quarterly meetings keeps their spot. They pay for it right then and there, and they're like, nope, nobody's going to take my spot. And they kind of have seat saves.
Right.
And
but there's a few people that have other things to do on that day.
Right.
Yeah. And actually, the Sunday afterwards, I'm opening up that whole next day.
Those are the seats that I'm talking about.
Yeah. The whole next day on that Sunday, I'm opening up a whole group. So that's cool.
And then one more little sneak peek. We do have, we're heading to Washington, D.C., the last weekend in September, and this is going to be with Faith Hunter, who is spiritually fly. She is, and she's on Instagram. She's absolutely wonderful. She's going to be hosting the Wanderlust event that's happening in DC.
Right.
And then we are going to be peeling off the next day to do an astrology personal talisman event at her yoga studio.
Yeah, we did that last year and had huge success.
It was wonderful. I mean, all the people that we got to meet, everyone from Ellie and Stu and
they're
Reggie, and
they're all signed up again for
yes. And so I'm hoping to get Faith up on the podcast just to talk a little bit about who she is and what she does and how she does it. And so she gets a chance to, we can talk a little bit about her chart and see how that flows in her life.
Yeah, we can do that. Can we quick talk about the constellation bracelet, that whole workshop that I'm doing on Zoom? I have a few spaces open on that too.
Yes.
It's one of my new things that we love.
And if you have been listening with us from the beginning, you had an opportunity to listen to a few of the testimonials of the people that were with us on the last constellation workshop. However, I do have them online, and it's at intentionbeads.com/constellation bracelet, I think. I'm gonna put that link in the info below, so you guys can just click it and head right there. But talk more about what the constellation workshop.
So this is an idea that I've had for actually a couple years, and we just began this at the first during the summer solstice. And now here comes the fall equinox, and I wanted to do something around that as well. So this is our second session, and it's 6 weeks long. And it's 6 weeks this time. Sometimes it's shorter, sometimes it's longer. I just go in and find we need 12 beads.
And you handpick these transits.
I handpick the transits in a particular time. So if I need 12 beads, I need 12 transits. So I go in to look at always starting on a new moon, always, encapsulate either one of the equinoxes or the solstices, and then whatever else is going on in that time period. So whether they're squares, they're oppositions, there's conjunctions, trines, sextiles, whatever they are, we need to know what these energies are and how they're actually working in our day-to-day lives. And so instead of having one intention bracelet, and if you know what I do, that I find one time to make a bracelet that has one intention. This is 12 intentions, 12 different times, making one bead of that 12 to 13 beaded bracelet at these varying times. So it's a Zoom call. It's about an hour long. I do the energy that's in the cosmic world. We talk about that, and then I align it with your chart. But I also do a 1 hour individual chart reading for how this energy affects you specifically throughout this next 6 weeks. And you know what? We're starting fast because I just talked about the new moon. So this begins on Tuesday in 1 week time. So we have some spaces open for that since we just announced it. And actually, some of the people that are coming back from the last session, which kind of really surprised me and made my heart happy because they loved the fact that they could be in a situation and know how to work something out, or to be in the awareness of the energy in that exact moment.
Yeah, and they said it really beautifully themselves. So definitely check out those testimonials on the website. The link is in the description of this podcast.
Okay. Let's talk about our house.
Welcome in. This is our home. This is our house. This is our house system. And we wanted to talk about our favorite Bali stories because we talked to you a little bit in the beginning of the episode of, when Saturn first went retrograde, we timed that specifically with our Bali retreat, which we do once a year. It is absolutely phenomenal. All of you people who have been to Bali before, you know what I'm talking about. All of you that don't and have never been to Bali,
come.
We are wonderful tour guides to bring you there because we have fun. We We learn about astrology. We get cozy with each other. It's a very awesome bonding experience too.
It really is. There's some of the women from last year when I return, there's yoga every day, that there's astrology lessons every day. There's one day, I think, in the 13 days that we had no astrology, where they all went shopping.
Yeah, which is another wonderful thing to do in Bali.
But the food's
support
there,
their economy.
The ceremonies, which is my favorite thing. One of my favorite stories is the water temple.
Oh, go on.
Yeah.
Cool. I have a very different one. Go on.
That we go to for purification. It's always happens the second day, actually before we even get into all the astrology, so that we purify and we have to go into the water, to the 11 water fountains and splash ourselves and say prayer. And then it started raining. And it was raining, but we were already wet because we're already in the fountain. So that was kind of cool for me. But when we went up to look at where there was a so-called, and even our driver, who's our friend now, and he said of all the years, and he's 33, all the years that they go there many times throughout the year for ceremony, he has never seen what we all got to see in that moment, where it was the big black eel swimming through the.
It was almost like a pool, like a huge, really like
where
reservoir.
Where the spring water then bubbled up too, and then the fountain, this water came down through the fountain, and he had never seen it. And he said the story was that it wishes good luck on the people that actually view that with their own eyes. And you had your video camera out.
I did,
and you were taking videos. That was my favorite.
Yes, and that's in our Bali recap video on YouTube. It's that is a great story. I love that one.
Yeah, it was like the Loch Head monster or something that all of a sudden Loch Ness monster.
Loch Ness
that showed up that nobody really has ever seen before.
Right. So my favorite Bali story is a little bit different. It involves the rice paddies, which Bali is very known for. They are beautiful. They're very terraced, so it kind of builds up into these mountains. But also, they're just down these small little dirt roads as well. That you have, big vans driving
it's like
by.
Families have their own little rice paddies,
right, and they do, And either it's either their own supply or they have a surplus that they can then sell. But my favorite story is of one of our retreaters, and she's probably listening now. So, hi, you know who you are. And so she is this incredibly surprising, adventurous woman who was on her way to a massage. And so in order to get to the massage, you would jump on the back of the bike of the masseur, who is this very strapping.
This is a scooter. When it was when you talk about that, it's a scooter.
Okay, so yes, and she's on the back of it. They go. She's expanding and exploring all this like new place called Bali, and it's so wonderful. And she's feeling on top of the world. Goes to get this wonderful massage, and on her way back, there is a big van. It's almost like that one scene in Eat, Pray, Love where she gets run off the road because that Brazilian guy is like driving a little too fast.
Yeah.
This literally happened. The van was kind of like trying to get around, and their dirt roads are very, very shallow and thin. So the masseur had to pull off to the side a little bit to make sure that the van could get by. And in doing so, he went to go put his foot down to, gain some ground. However, there was no ground on the other side.
Yeah.
And it was an entire rice paddy where our attendee rolled down into the rice paddy, and if you
face planted
with your helmet on and everything, right? Like to the point where it was kind of like one of those like trying to get her face out of that rice paddy. And if you've seen rice paddies before, they're beautifully green, but if you look at the bottom of it, it is just
wet mud.
Is muddy.
Yeah.
And it's pasty muddy too. So anyway, that's your favorite story. Still to this day.
And she came back is hers. Yeah.
And she would, she just had her, purse with her. And so she's just pulling out just these globs of mud when she gets back. But the funniest thing is that as soon as she got back, I just looked at her and I go, you look phenomenal. I almost I want one of those massages that you just did. Cause her hair was slicked back and her skin was shining. And so whatever she did in that rice paddy, it was brilliant.
Well, she did go back in to get a shower and get the mud off as best she could, but it was still stuck in her purse. But, those are some of the fun. She had a ball. I mean,
were we not talking about fun stories?
Yeah.
Oh, I wanted to pick a fun. That's my funniest story.
Yeah, because it wasn't about you. But actually, this woman loves her story.
Yes.
Yeah. So,
also, since we are in our house, let's also talk about some of our housekeeping. And I wanted to invite everyone that's listening to give us a review. Give us a review on iTunes or Google Play. It really, really helps us. It benefits us. It puts us on the map for iTunes and Google Play. And I feel like people need to know a little bit more about astrology. This is happening.
This is the bridge astrology. This is for everyone.
We're like the forecast. We're the astrology forecast. But if you have any questions for us now that you're listening to the podcast, definitely reach out to us on Instagram. That is at intention_beads. You can always find a way to communicate with us on intentionbeads.com, as well as we would love to offer you this really special password that when you go to intentionbeads.com/podcast, there is a little black and white button that will ask you for your podcast password. Guess what this podcast password is?
Jazzfuzz?
Great guess. JAZZFUZZ. It is the name of our producer here at Jazz Fuzz Studios. And this gives you $20 off an hour-long reading.
We love you, and we want to do your find your sun, your moon, your ascendant. We want to get that chart to you. We want to get you a little brush of information that when I talk about upcoming transits or things that are going on.
And when we say 9 degrees Capricorn and we talk about 2 degrees Capricorn,
look at to see if it's not only your sun, if you have Venus or Pluto or Saturn in that location, this would affect you. So it gives you some base information to continue listening to the podcast with full awareness. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
So this has been an awesome time getting to talk to you about astrology and what's going on with our world. So reach out to us, ask us any questions, and this is the end of episode 8. We will see you guys next week.
Happy new moon.